Well, we've talked a little bit about the problems, and we've talked a little bit about some of the value of intergenerational communication that's missing when it's impaired, but we haven't talked about how you can really improve your intergenerational listening. So I want to give you some more concrete ways that you can really establish more positive, long-lasting relationships with those of different age ranges, both older and younger. We focused on older, but it's also younger as well. And first of all, you don't want to respond with over-accommodation. There's a tendency to be patronizing to those that are older and even those that are younger to us. When it's older, we call it elder speak. And what we do when we over-accommodate is we speak more slowly than we need to. We use baby talk and less technical words because we think they can't understand it. And we may even pause frequently. We change our tone to be kind of sing-songy and sweet. Oh, how are you doing today? Are you okay? And what's really interesting is we have a tendency for our pitch to go up, and if there is any hearing damage, the first pitches that are usually lost are higher pitches in terms of being able to hear, so that's not good. Also, just because someone can't hear well, you shouldn't talk necessarily slower. How is that going to help them hear the word? You just need to talk a little bit louder. But you also don't need to talk louder if the person can hear just fine. It's like, I go crazy when I see people that are talking to someone who speaks a foreign language and English is like their second or third language, and they talk to them really loud and slow, and I'm thinking, they don't have a hearing problem. They have a language problem. I don't know why you're talking so loud to them. And the same thing is, if the elderly person can hear fine, why are you talking loud? Why are you over-accommodating? Accommodating is fine if you know what people's needs are for them to be able to hear you and understand you. But over-accommodation is not okay because it's just patronizing. Also, in intergenerational communication, we need to take the time to listen. Oftentimes we're in such a hurry, we have such busy schedules, we think I have this organizational meeting here, I have plans with my friends here, I have to prepare this homework assignment now, and we don't just take the time to sit down and visit with people. In this day and age with technology, we're Facebooking, we're texting, but we're not really listening. And many times you'll be talking to your parents or your grandparents at the same time, you're texting, you're trying to listen to music, you're thinking about 1,000 things in your head, and you're not taking the time to listen. And in those intergenerational communication opportunities that we have, it's important at some time to just schedule it. Maybe you need to take some time and just schedule some time with grandparents or aunts and uncles or parents or even young kids so that you can be there for them and be with them. Also, diversify your social network intergenerationally, not just ethnically. It's always emphasized that you have multicultural relationships and that you learn from people of other cultures, but you also want to learn from people of different generations who have lived through a lot of the things that you hear about in history class, and it's fascinating to live through their experiences. Listening to my grandmother talk about the Great Depression and rationing during World War I and a variety of things, it's like, wow, I read about this, but she lived it. And it's amazing when my parents talk about exactly where they were and what they were doing when they heard John F. Kennedy was shot. And it's the same thing that our kids are going to say when we talk to them about where we were when we heard about 9/11 and the media coverage that we saw of 9/11 and what we lived through then. So intergenerationally, we have a lot to offer one another, and we need to diversify our social networks. We need to listen to learn. There's a lot to be learned in these relationships. We get to hear their experiences, and we can learn from them, and they can learn from us. Come on. A grandma that I know just learned to play Wii, and who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks? You can. But if you're not listening to learn and you don't have that mutual appreciation for learning, it can be difficult. And you're not necessarily going to be motivated by the same things. And so you have to appreciate your differences, not just your similarities. You ask probing questions. Find out more. Ask them about their experiences. Get them to tell you stories. It's fun to just tell stories. And families sit around and do that very often. And also focus on what you have in common rather than just the differences so that you can overcome the social distance that you place between each other.